You okay in there, or you in over your head?
No, I'm good.
Trust me? You trust me?
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's good, because I've been doing this a long time, and I can understand if it's a little overwhelming, but you have to trust the process. The process works. That's why you and your parents chose me to guide you through this strange and unpredictable new process. So I want you to remember what I told you at your parents' place the first time we met. You gotta shut your eyes and pretend like you're in your bedroom. You're just dancing in your bedroom, and no one's looking at you, and you ain't got a care in the world, okay?
Okay.
That was a clip from Vox Lux, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by one of its stars, Jude Law. Hello.
Hello.
We were just talking about it there, but we'll save it because there is so much to talk about with this film. It's really interesting. The filmmaker, Brady Corbett, utterly fascinating, but how would you describe it?
Goodness.
It's not easy.
I suppose maybe I should go back to answer that, and I should go back to think about what hit me when I first read it, and also what Brady pictured. It's very much a director's film. My part in it was always really to enable that and just you know, contribute. He plays with very relevant, I think, and modern themes. Violence in our society, how the media and how we deal with violence, how we often give it a sort of narrative of sorts in order to understand it, how fame is handled by society and both rewarded, revered, and also ostracized and hated, and how all of those things sort of merge and mesh into each other. And he manages, I think, to hit on very current themes, whether it's murderous atrocities in our schools or in our workplaces, and then how out of that some people can be made heroes and idols almost, and then indeed the downfall of how fame gone wrong, I suppose, also has its victims.
Yeah, and vilifies people then as well in terms of the way that it reacts to their reaction almost.
That's right. It's like fame can sometimes be seen as a gift given to someone by society, and then we watch and see how that gift is handled, and it's like, oh, you didn't handle it very well.
So you don't deserve it anymore.
You don't deserve it anymore. How dare you react that way to this gift we gave you?
Yeah.
Also, this bizarre thought that this gift is indeed a gift. That's what I was trying to say when I said it's almost like a curse as well. And in this case, this young girl who is a victim of a shooting in a school, Celeste, really is thrown in, eyes closed and innocent, like a deer in headlights. And then we pick up later on to see how she survived it and how her life has unwound, really.
And within all that, you play her manager across quite an interesting space of time, which is quite nice in terms of you get that luxury as an actor we're introduced to a character and then a number of years have passed, so you get to almost readdress him a number of years later. Is that a fun thing to get into?
Yeah, it was. It was, reflecting on it now, it was quite unique, actually. I can't think of often being able to do that, especially with such a big gap in the middle.
Yeah.
It was very obvious to me that there were two very different men in a way, and that the section in the middle that you don't see is, funnily enough, it's similar in a way to what we just discussed. It's like when you meet him at the beginning, he's someone full of hope and optimism, and he has this plan in mind that obviously he's probably tried on other people and it hasn't quite been realised, and then suddenly it takes off, and then you step away from the store and you come back when he's probably had the time of his life. And things are starting to crash and burn a little bit.
Maybe can't remember everything that's happening.
Probably can't remember a couple of years and on his on the world tour of 1999 and 2000. But he's back suddenly, and so picking up and looking at how that life may have affected him, and then obviously looking at how the relationship, when it's with Celeste, has evolved, because when it starts, he really is I don't want to say paternal, because he's not quite the sort of paternal figure.
He's
but he's
the guardian,
the caretaker,
really.
Guardian, very much so. And conscious of that role.
To a point.
Yes, that's true.
I think there's always a little flicker there that he's trying to almost prove to himself that
he's worthy,
that he can look after her.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, it ends, of course, the first chapter with an almighty slip-up on his part, which Brady, as a filmmaker, doesn't skirt over, but you see it, you realise it, you hear about it from the storyteller, whose voice sort of guides us through. And in a similar way to a lot of the film, he doesn't, I think, handle things particularly heavily, and so you get a lot of opportunity after the film to reflect on behaviour. But what is interesting is how, when you come back and Celeste is now played by Natalie Portman, you realise that actually, for all the wrecks and ups and downs, highs and lows, they are really a team and quite reliant on each other. So being able to investigate that as a performer was really interesting, really interesting.
And it's interesting, like, I think he's such a unique filmmaker for so many different reasons, but the way that he's cast this as well with Celeste and Rafi Cassidy, who plays the young Celeste, and then Natalie playing the older Celeste, but then Rafi playing the daughter. It's really interesting, and it really works as a dynamic as well. But for you, you know, working with Natalie over a number of films as well, it must be lovely to have that relationship there and, you know, and that communication already there to play with.
Absolutely. Again, I imagine, you know, it might be the same if you're a musician playing with someone that you've recorded with or toured with years before. But Natalie would be the first to say, well, actually she was, I think, in one of the interviews we did in America. But, you know, we don't hang out. We're not like buddies. We've always gotten on terrifically well. We were both really young when we first met and worked together. And we've met then and worked together every kind of 5 years or so after that. And what's lovely is a familiarity in how you work and a mutual respect and a sense also of, you don't have to waste time with niceties and just checking how the other person's process may affect you and vice versa. You can just dive in. And actually the first day, I believe, and first of all, it's important to, well, maybe it isn't important. I was just exhilarated, and I love telling people that I only worked on this film for 2 weeks.
No way.
And Natalie only worked on it for 2 weeks. And our 2 weeks overlapped. So it was, the whole shoot was
it 22 days
something
or something?
like
That's
that? Yeah.
Unbelievable.
So you have to hit the ground running, and what that draws out of you as actors is you've got to be ready, you've got to be willing to make mistakes. And Brady, who was an actor for many years, had a very clear and sensible sense of how to make that work. So he was hugely prepared, but also wanting to capture sort of lightning in a bottle, as it were. So the camera was rolling all the time, and he set it up in such a way that a lot of the scenes are single takes. And he knew that, you know, we would work on those over and over and over, but all we needed was one. So the first day with Natalie and I was actually the day in the van when we're both absolutely high as kites, and then we do the scene going down the corridor, and it ends with the massive tantrum. So we dived straight in.
Wow.
I'd seen some ideas of what Natalie was going to wear, but I hadn't, you know, she came out in these like 6-7 inch heels with her hair up and makeup and this bomber jacket, and she just didn't look back. It was really thrilling to see someone so confidently and boldly taking on something that needed that. It wasn't a case of, oh, you're going to go there. It was a case of, wow, all right, I better keep up.
It's also, I think, really interesting that because when we see the young Celeste, in terms of when she's first stepping into this world, to then cut into where she is now, and it's kind of like, whoa. And Natalie, you can just tell she's having so much fun with it. And she just... like you say, you can just tell she's just thrown herself into it. It's wonderful to watch.
What she has, though, which I think she brings to all characters, and in a funny way, if there's a thread that leads back to Natalie, the person, is she has this beautiful kind of, some say Natalie has a vulnerability, but she has this emotional bed and a very human sort of fragility that in this character in particular, who is all bravado and front and power in many ways, because she is able to sort of tell people to get lost or that she doesn't want them in her life or whatever. She also cracks at the slightest thing, and you're very aware that there's softness and fragility, as I said, underneath the surface.
I wish that I had known all the songs for the end performance before I watched the film, because they're so good. I kind of wanted to sing along to them.
You know, it was Sia,
and then Scott Walker did the score, which is like,
imagine?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that all, you know, with Sia, with the songs all had to be locked in before filming, I guess, for
Yeah,
rehearsals
it was
for
a long
Natalie
process, you see. I mean, as is the way so often nowadays, I got involved with this and then we sat and waited for a year because the money kept falling through and...
a tough film to get
It
made.
was really
because
tough.
of,
And, you know, Brady was all set, ready to go with this incredible music that Sia had recorded and given to him. Yeah, it's just that bizarre thing when you're not actually looking for that much money in comparison to some projects.
Yeah.
It's impossible to find.
That you might have worked
you want
on
to go to
recently.
a Marvel movie and just give us your catering budget.
yeah,
We'll be
can we have the
fine.
popcorn budget? For just to
We can
us-
make two of them. And you can have both. No. It just kept falling apart. But in a weird way over that period, he and I were able to do loads of work. And then as soon as Natalie got on board, things started to move a lot quicker. But the work with Sia, the work with Scott Walker that Brady was doing, and the whole thing just started to sort of percolate together, and it became this one we were very clear with what we wanted to do. So when we did get the green light, as I said, we were able to really work quickly.
Yeah.
And it was an energy that I hadn't experienced for quite a while. It really reinvigorated my kind of passion for filmmaking. Also working with someone like Brady, who had, his first film, The Childhood of a Leader, just blew my mind that it was this guy's first movie. It felt like a film made by someone, in my favourite period of filmmaking, the 70s, but also who had 4, 5, 6 films under his belt, and it was his first go. And that energy that we had, because we had such limited time, I think is in the film.
Yeah, the confidence of him as a filmmaker is just...
Well, he had to
wonderful.
make big decisions, similarly to what I just said about those single shots, or going with something even if it wasn't 100% ready. You know, that kind of confidence was also just in him getting it made. But I think there's something alchemic about that, which some films need. You know, I mean, film can sometimes nowadays be so considered and so almost
safe.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And this has got slightly frayed edges, which I think gives it an individuality.
I feel quite lucky because I've seen you quite a lot over the last 6 months. We've had some various bits of popping up.
We have.
Marvel premieres. Congratulations on that, by the way. Such a great film.
Good.
Oh my God, it's so great and been so well received as well.
Yeah, it's done
Brie
all right.
just kicking
Yeah.
ass. Did you go back and do more?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I was very curious about this phenomenon that was going on around me, and then realised I hadn't been invited to the party. So when they asked, I wanted to just go along and see how it was all done. It's interesting how these gigantic film franchises are done in different ways. And the Fantastic Beasts, Harry Potter will do it in a very different way to the Marvel world. And so, you know, every job for me is a learning process. So it was really interesting to learn from. The one element I love about Marvel is the humour. I think they get a great shtick. And when I took it, I didn't read the script, you see. I just said, they gave me a little description of the character. I was like, oh yeah, he sounds good. I can camp that up. And then they kept telling me to be, straight. You got to do it really straight. And I thought, come on, give me a bit of shtick.
See, that all started with Robert. Robert set that
Absolutely.
tone with the first Iron Man film.
We're all basically ripping Robert off. Just with different costumes.
Speaking of which, I really hope, is there going to be another Sherlock?
Well, we're working very hard at it. You know, we've done, I mean, crikey. Honestly, it's not like we've been sitting around. We've had so many
You've
script
been quite
meetings.
busy as well.
He's been very busy. I've been busy.
Brilliant doing Dumbledore and all that stuff as well, which
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next one. You look like you're having so much fun with that.
Yeah, they're really.
You're a really good young
I'm excited.
Dumbledore.
Thank you. I'm going to insist on the word "young" being funny. The older I get, the younger my characters get. Apparently, it would be great to do another Sherlock, but we're really aware also we want it to be so. You know, you've got to get better. So the script is hard. It's been proving quite hard, but we're getting there. I think they've shoved it back a little bit, and then the next Beast I think starts next year.
Great.
Yeah.
Can't wait. The ending of that last one.
Yeah, lots to be discovered.
Brilliant. Well, I'll see you in a couple of months then.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay.
Thanks,
Nice to speak to you.
You too.